Good morning, students. So, welcome to our second video lecture. And today I am going to explain you the topic inflorescence and all about flower. In my previous lectures, I have taught you about the morphology of root, stem, and leaves. We have also studied about the modification of these root, stems, and leaves. Now, in today's lecture, we will start from inflorescence. Okay, student? If you want to define the term inflorescence, then inflorescence means the arrangement of the flowers on the floral axis. That means how these flowers they are arranged on the floral axis. This is known as inflorescence. So according to the arrangement of the flowers on this floral axis, we have divided the inflorescence into two categories. First is racemose inflorescence. So what is racemose inflorescence? In this type of inflorescence, the growth of the main axis, it continues. And the flowers, they are born laterally in an acropetal succession. So here the term acropetal succession means, first the flower that is born at the top of the branch, and then it proceeds towards the base. That means the flower which is present at the topmost position, that is the first flower which appears on the branch. So here you can see the picture of the racemose inflorescence. So here it is very much visible to you in case of racemose inflorescence. The flower which is present in an acropetal succession, whereas in case of cymose inflorescence, the flower is present at the terminal position. Okay, cymose inflorescence. What is cymose inflorescence? In this type of inflorescence, here the growth of the main axis, it does not continue, whereas it terminates whenever a flower is born on that axis. So when the flower appears, this means the growth of the main axis, it stops. Hence, there is a limited growth, and these flowers, they are born in a basipetal manner. That means the flower first born at the base of the branch, and then later on it proceed towards the tip of the branch. This means the flower which is present at the base position, that is the oldest one, and the flower which is present at the top position, that is the youngest. Okay, student, here you can see whenever a flower it appears on the main axis, the growth of that main axis, it stops, and later on other flowers, they also appear on the axes that are arising from the main axis. These are the lateral axes. They also bear the flowers. But whenever a flower appears, the growth of that particular floral axis, it becomes limited. So here you can see the picture of the cymose inflorescence, that how these flowers are arranged in cymose inflorescence. Okay, student, now I am taking the main topic, that is flower. All of you know very well that sexual reproduction is the characteristic feature of all angiosperms or flowering plants. So how you know that this is the time period when the plant has to reproduce or angiosperm has to reproduce? So whenever a flower appears on the branch of that particular plant, or you can say tree, then that is the initiation of the reproductive phase and end of the vegetative phase. Though you know that the growth period is not limited in case of plants. It continues throughout the time period. But whenever a flower appears, that can be considered as the initiation of the reproductive phase. So what is this flower? This flower is actually the unit of reproduction in angiosperms, and it is meant for the purpose of sexual reproduction. So if you have to define flower, then a flower is actually the modified shoot. So whenever a shoot has to bear flowers, what happens? This shoot which contains the shoot apical meristem, the shoot apical meristem, it changes into the floral meristem. And you can easily see that at that position where the flower has to be appear later on, the color of that floral axis is slightly changed, it becomes colored, and you can well understand at the later stages that particular branch has to be a flower. Okay, student, here I want to discuss some definitions which generally come under this topic. Number one, bisexual flower. As the name itself indicates, bisexual flower means a flower which contains both type of sex organs, male sex organ and female sex organ. That means androecium as well as gynoecium. Earlier we used the term, instead of term androecium, we generally use the term stamen. And in case of gynoecium, we use the term pistil or carpel in 10th standard. Now you well remember, androecium is the male reproductive organ and gynoecium is the female reproductive organ. Unisexual flower, a flower which has only stamen or only pistils or carpels, you can say. So it may be a staminate flower or it may be a carpellate flower. Such a flower is known as a unisexual flower. And what is actinomorphic flower? We can also divide the flower into 3 categories on the basis of their symmetry. So here actinomorphic flower is a flower. When we divide the flower or its floral axis in any of the radial planes, then if that flower can be divided in 2 equal radial halves, so that flower is known as the actinomorphic flower. So here you can give the example of the mustard flower and datura flower. Zygomorphic flower, whenever a flower can be divided into 2 equal halves only in one particular plane. You can say one particular vertical plane. So that flower has bilateral symmetry and such a flower is known as the zygomorphic flower. So here you can give the example of beans, Acacia fistula, yellow color flowers that is sometimes visible to you when you are going through a road. Asymmetric flower, as the name is very much clear, a flower which cannot be divided into 2 similar halves in any of the vertical plane when you divide it or passing through its center, then such a flower is known as asymmetric flower. So here you can give the example of the Kana flower. Okay, students, a flower, how many floral parts it bears, how many floral appendages it bears, can be divided into following categories. Trimerous flower means a flower which has 3 floral appendages. That means 3 sepals are present or 3 petals are present. That kind of flower is trimerous flower. Tetramerous, if instead of 3 floral appendages, how many floral appendages? 4 floral appendages are there. 4 sepal or 4 petals, then it is tetramerous. Pentamerous, when a flower contains 5 floral appendages. That means 5 sepals and 5 petals are there. The flower is pentamerous flower. What are bracteate flowers? So sometimes you see that, as you know very well, that sepals are the green color leaves, or you can say leafy part of the flower. But instead of sepals, sometimes some minute, you can say leaf-like structures, they are also present on the pedicel, at the base of the pedicel. So if these small minute leaf-like structures, which are known as bracts, if they are present at the base of the pedicel, then such a flower is known as bracteate. The flowers with bract or reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel are known as bracteate flower. Ebracteate, those flowers which do not have bract. That is flowers without bract, they are known as ebracteate. Okay, student. Here I have divided the flower into 3 categories on the basis of position of the ovary. So first type of flower is hypogynous flower. So in this flower, you always remember the gynoecium, it occupies the highest position. Whereas the other floral parts, they are situated below the gynoecium. So ovary in such flowers is always a superior. To see the photographs, the example of hypogynous flower in which the ovary is a superior is China rose, and its technical name is Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Then we have mustard flower, and then we have brinjal flower. So these are the example of the hypogynous flowers. Perigynous flowers, if the gynoecium it is situated in the center, and other parts of the flower they are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level. And such type of flower they are known as the perigynous flower. That means the position of the gynoecium as well as the other floral parts are almost at the same position or same level. So such type of flowers are known as perigynous flower. For example, plum, rose and peach. So here you can see the flowers of these plum, rose and peach. For all of these flowers, they have the ovary, but this ovary is half superior. Okay, student, third type of flower is known as the epigynous flower. So epigynous flower is a kind of a flower in which the ovary, it is present, or you can say it is enclosed within the margins of the thalamus. What is thalamus? So thalamus is the swollen part of the pedicel, you can say. So what I am going to say, that here the ovary is present inside the margins of the thalamus, and the other floral parts of the flower, they arise above this ovary or the surface of the ovary. So hence the ovary is said to be inferior ovary, and this type of flowers are found in case of guava. First is the picture of guava, second is cucumber, and third is the ray florets of sunflower. So in case of sunflower, two types of floral appendages are there, ray florets and disc florets. So here the ray florets of sunflower is the example of the epigynous flower. Okay, student, we have seen this diagram many times in our lower classes. So this is the diagram of the flower. We show its various parts. So you know that all flowers, it contains a stalk-like base, and that stalk-like base, which is somewhat swollen at its tip. This stalk-like portion is known as pedicel, and the swollen portion of the pedicel, it is known as thalamus. Then there are green leafy structures that are present on the surface of the thalamus. These are known as sepals. The colored floral appendages of the flower, these are known as petals. And then we have the reproductive parts. So here you can see stamens. Stamen is the male reproductive organ, and it contains anther and filament. And similarly, the female reproductive organ here is pistil, or sometimes we can use the word carpel. So pistil have three parts. Stigma, which is the topmost receptive part of the pistil. It always receives pollen grains during the process of fertilization. And a bridge-like structure which connects the stigma with the ovary, it is known as style. And ovary is the basal swollen portion which contains so many ovules that are arranged on a cushion-like structure known as placenta. So this is the components of a common flower. Okay, student, here we are going to discuss the parts of the flower in detail. So first of all, I want to introduce the term calyx. So what is calyx? Calyx, as you know that all the floral appendages in a flower, they are arranged in a circular manner. So we can use the term whorl for it. That is WHORLS, whorl. That means circular arrangement of the floral appendages. So here we have four floral appendages. So first of the two floral appendages, they are vegetative in nature, whereas the innermost third and fourth appendage, it is reproductive in nature. So here I am going to tell you about calyx. So calyx, it is the outermost whorl of the flower, and the members of this calyx are known as sepals. That means calyx is a group of sepals, and these sepals, they are green leaf-like structures. And what is their function? They protect the flower when it is in the bud stage. So here you can see the flower of rose enclosed inside the sepals when it is in its bud stage. So here we introduce two more terms, gamosepalous. Gamosepalous means sepals that fused. All the sepals when fused, the condition is known as gamosepalous. And polysepalous, when the flowers sepals, they are not fused, they are free, then such a condition is known as polysepalous. So here the sepals, which are the green leafy structures, they are visible to you, very much clear to you in the two pictures. Okay, the next floral whorl is known as corolla. So what is corolla? Corolla is the second floral whorl, and it is composed of petals. So petals are the colored floral appendages. These petals are brightly colored. As why they are brightly colored? Because they have to attract the insects for the purpose of pollination. So these corollas may be polypetalous or they may be gamopetalous. Polypetalous means if all the petals they are free, and if the petals they are fused, then the condition is known as gamopetalous. If the petals they are free, the condition is known as polypetalous. So the third floral appendage is known as androecium. So androecium is the reproductive floral appendage and it is composed of stamens. And these stamens are actually the male reproductive part of the flower. And it has two components. The stalk-like cylindrical part is known as filament. And the topmost part, which is somewhat receptive in nature, it is a bilobed part. And it is known as the anther. So here the stamens, they are visible to you. So stamen is divided into two components. This is the stalk-like cylindrical part filament and a bilobed anther is present at the top. So when you take the transverse section of this anther, then there are 4 pollen sacs present inside, and these pollen sacs they later bears the pollen grains during the development of the male. You can say male gametophyte. Okay, students, here I have written some description regarding the gynoecium. So you know very well gynoecium is the female reproductive part, and it is the innermost 4th whorl of the flower. It contains many carpels or pistils. Sometimes one carpel is present, sometimes so many carpels are present. And 3 components of carpels are there. Stigma, which is the topmost receptive part. Then we have style, which is a bridge-like part. And we have ovary. So ovary is the enlarged basal part. Now what is style? Style is a elongated tube which lies above the ovary and it connects the stigma with the ovary. It carries the pollen grains for the purpose of fertilization later on. And then ovary. Inside the ovary, what is present? Ovarian chamber is there, which is known as locule. And inside the locule, so many ovules they are present, and they are attached to a flat cushion-like structure, and which is known as the placenta. So here I am going to introduce one term, apocarpus condition. So what is apocarpus condition? When more than one carpel is present, and all of these carpels they are free, the condition is known as apocarpus condition. And when the carpels are fused, the condition is known as syncarpus condition. And what happens after fertilization? These ovules, which are present inside the ovary, they becomes the seed, and the ovary, it later ripened to form the fruit. So whenever you open a fruit, you always found seed. So these seeds are actually the ovules, and the fruit is actually the ripened ovary. So here you can see all the diagrams of this gynoecium. So here we have stigma, style, and ovary is there. Then inside the ovary, a locule is there, which is known as ovarian cavity. And here so many ovules are present. So in this picture, only one ovule is there. In the second one, this is the diagram of the flower, longitudinal section of flower. So here every part of the flower is very much visible to you. I have explained it earlier. And here you see the TS of the ovary. So whenever you take the TS of the ovary, then here so many ovules, they are attached with a flattened cushion-like structure. This flattened cushion-like structure is known as the placenta, and these are known as the ovules. And after fertilization, these ovules, they become the seed, and the ripened ovary, it becomes the fruit. Okay, students, here I am going to introduce a very important term, placentation. What is placentation? It is the arrangement of the ovules within the ovary. That how within the ovary these ovules they are arranged. The process of arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. So here 5 types of placentation is visible to you. Okay, students, see the first type of placentation, marginal placentation. Then we have axial placentation. We have parietal placentation. Then free central placentation, and then basal placentation. So I am going to explain these placentations one by one. Okay, student, here I have written the name of these placentation. Marginal placentation, 5 types of placentation are there. Then axial placentation, parietal placentation, free central placentation, and last is basal placentation. Okay, student, marginal placentation. The common example of marginal placentation is pea pods. So in marginal placentation, the placenta, it forms a ridge, along the ventral suture of the ovary. Okay, student, whenever you open the pod of this pea plant, then along the ventral suture, this is the ventral suture, all right, and this is the dorsal suture. So along the ventral suture of the ovary, what is present? So here the ovules, they are born on the bridge. So here so many ovules, which are actually the seeds that are visible in that pod. All of these ovules, they are arranged themselves on the ridge of the ventral suture. So here the example is of pea plant or any kind of legumes. It may be pulses, it may be rajma, or it may be any kind of peas, or you can say grams. All of these come under this. Okay, student, next type of placentation is axial placentation. So in axial placentation, the placenta is axial in position. See in the diagram, the placenta, it is axial in position. And ovules, they are attached to it in a multilocular ovary. So this ovary is a multilocular ovary. So many locules are present. How many locules are present? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locules are there. And the ovules, they are arranged in with the axial position at these chambers. So this is axial placentation, and the common example is China rose, tomato. When you cut the tomato, see this type of placentation is there, lemon. All of these contains axial placentation. Okay, student, parietal placentation. Parietal placentation is a type of placentation in which the ovules, they develop on the inner wall of the ovary. See the diagram? All the ovules, they develop on the inner wall of the ovary. And here the ovary is only one chambered. But sometimes due to formation of some false septum, the ovary, it can appear as two chambered. So this type of placentation is found in mustard and argemone. So argemone is a plant which is generally growing in the wild habitats. And when we extract oil from this plant, then the oil is also of yellow color like the mustard oil. So sometimes this is used for adulteration in the mustard oil. And because of this, so many people, they died in India because of the mixing of this argemone oil with the mustard some years before. The next type of placentation here is the free central placentation. So as the name itself indicates, all the ovules, they are born on the central axis. And here the septas are absent in the ovary. So here you see all the ovules, they are present on the central axis of the placenta. And septas are not there. So example is dianthus. Dianthus is a flower and primrose is also a flower. Okay, student, basal placentation. Basal placentation is a type of placentation where the placenta develops at the base of the ovary. Okay, student, placenta, it develops at the base of the ovary, and this placenta later has one ovule attached to it. So see here, this is the ovule. It is attached at the base of the placenta, and the placenta itself develops at the base of the ovary. So this type of placentation is found in case of sunflower and marigold. Both are flowers. Okay, here I am going to introduce one very important term, estivation. So what is estivation? The mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in a floral bud. That in a floral bud, how these sepals and petals, they arrange themselves with other members of the same bud. That is known as the floral estivation. So here we have four types of estivation: valvate estivation, twisted estivation, then imbricate estivation, and maxillary estivation. So out of these four, maxillary estivation is the characteristic feature of family Fabaceae or Papilionoideae. That is the family of the legume plants. Okay, student, valvate estivation, when sepals or petals in a whorl just touch one another at their margins only, without overlapping. And such type of estivation is known as valvate estivation. So see here, all the floral appendages, whether it may be the sepal or the petal, they just touch the edges only. They do not overlap one another. So thus, this type of estivation is valvate. The example is calotropis. In Hindi, calotropis is known as ak or akda. Twisted estivation. So twisted estivation, if one margin of the appendage, it overlaps that of the next one. So see in the diagram. So here, one margin of the appendage, it overlaps the other one in this way. This appendage, its margin, it overlaps the another. So overlapping of the floral appendages, sepals and petals are there. So example is ladyfinger and cotton. So here I have shown the ladyfinger flower, that how these sepals or petals they are arranged in them. Then we have vexillary estivation, student. So in vexillary estivation, the example is pea plant, or you can say beans. Okay, students. Okay. One is left, that is imbricate estivation. So if the margins of the sepals or petals, they overlap one another, but not in a particular direction. So see the floral appendages. There are 5 petals are present here, or you can say sepals. So out of these, see, 3 of the petals, they overlap one another. But one of the petal, that is the 4th one, its one edge is outside and one edge is inside. And similarly, the other one, that is the 5th one, both the edges are inside. And in 4th one, both the edges are outside, and other 3, they have one edge or margin inside and one outside. So in this way, there is overlapping is there, but that is not in a particular direction. So example is Acacia fistula and Gulmohar. So vexillary estivation, pea plants and bean plants, they have vexillary estivation. How many petals are there? So here we have 5 petals. The largest petal is known as the standard. And standard, later we have 2 lateral petals. And the largest petal, which is standard, it overlaps the 2 lateral petals. And these 2 lateral petals, they are known as the wings. And these wings, they later overlaps the smallest interior petals, which are known as keel. And both of these keels or interior petals, they are also joined with each other. So see the diagram. See the diagram here. This is standard. These 2 lateral petals, they are known as the wings. And these are the 2 anterior petals, which are known as the keel. And the keel petals, they are joined with each other. So this is the flower of the pea plant. Okay, student. Now I am starting the next topic, that is fruit. So what is fruit? It is a mature and the ripened ovary, and it develops after fertilization. So fruit, it consists of a wall, and that wall is known as the pericarp. So this fruit ball may be dry, or sometime it may be fleshy. That means pericarp may be dry or it may be fleshy. So when the pericarp is thick and fleshy, and it is differentiated into outer epicarp, middle mesocarp, and inner endocarp, such type of fruits are known as the fleshy fruits. So here you can give the example of mango and coconut. The type of fruit which is present in mango and for coconut, it is a drupe. So here you can see the picture of the drupe kind of fruits. So example is mango and coconut. All the 3 ball layers are visible to you. Outer exocarp, then middle mesocarp is there, and the innermost, it is known as the endocarp. Okay, student, here I am showing you the types of fruits. Second type of fruits, they are known as the berries. So this type of fruits, they are somewhat globular or spherical in nature. So here you can give the example of these tomatoes. Tomato is an example of a berry fruit. We have plums here, we have pomegranate, and we have berries, pink berries, and lemon or musambi is there. Then we have strawberry. All of these are examples of berry kind of fruits. Okay, student. Third type of fruits are the capsules. Somewhat like a pod-like appearance is present. So here the common example is capsicum frutescens, capsicum annum. Then all type of capsicum are here. Pods that are found in case of pea plant, then ladyfingers. All of these are the capsule kind of. Okay, the next topic is the seed. So you know very well, after fertilization, the ovules, it develop into seed. And you always remember, a seed is made up of always a seed pod and an embryo. So embryo, it is made up of a radicle, an embryonal axis, and 1 or 2 cotyledones. You know very well, that inside the embryo radical is present, and this radical is the progenitor of the root. And similarly, plumule is also there, and that is the progenitor of shoot. Beside this, we have embryonal axis. That is a axis which is passing to the center of the embryo, and one or two cotyledons are present. If one cotyledon is there, then you can say it is a monocot type of seed. Otherwise, if two cotyledons are there, and it is a dicot seed. Okay, student, here I have written a description about the structure of the dicot seed. So outermost covering of the seed, you know very well, it is known as seed coat. And this seed coat has two layers. Always remember, the outer layer is known as testa, and the inner layer is known as tegmen. Then beside this, we have hilum. What is hilum? Hilum is a scar that is present on the seed coat, and through which the developing seeds, they were attached to the fruit. And above the hilum, a small pore is visible to you, and that is known as the micropyle. So it is believed that micropyle is that pore through which oxygen and moisture it enters into the seed. And because of that, seed, it remains live. Then within the seed coat, a small embryo is there, and that embryo consists of an embryonal axis, that is an axis which passes through its center, and two cotyledons. Okay, student, the cotyledons, they may be fleshy, and they are full of reserve food material. And at the end of the embryonal axis, radical and plumule are present. You know very well, this radical, it is a progenitor of the root. Later on, it grows towards the downward direction. Whereas the plumule, which is the progenitor of the shoot, it always grows towards the upward direction. Then we have endospermic seeds and non-endospermic seeds. Students, on the basis whether the endosperm, which is the nutritive tissue, develop after double fertilization in angiosperm, it remains present in the seed, or it is totally consumed by the embryo. We have divided the seed into two categories, and these are the endospermic seeds or the non-endospermic seeds. So here we have the endospermic seeds. So what are these endospermic seeds? So if the food storing tissue, that is endosperm, it is present in the seed after double fertilization. If it is present inside the seed, then such type of seeds are known as the endospermic seed. And non-endospermic seeds, those seeds in which the endosperm is not present in the mature seed, and it is totally consumed by the developing embryo. Such type of seeds are known as the non-endospermic. For example, we have grams, we have pea. All of these are examples of the non-endospermic seeds. Okay, students. Now this is the diagram of the dicot seed. Here the seed coat is visible to you, and this is hilum, which is a scar, and there is a small pore which is known as the micropyle. When we open the seed, we have two fleshy cotyledons, and a small embryo is present. The portion of the embryonal axis which grows in upward direction, it is known as the plumule, and the portion below the embryonal axis which always grow in downward direction, it is the radical, which is the progenitor of the root. So here you can see the dicot seed of rajma. So here again embryonic leaves are present. Then a seed coat is there, which is the outermost wall layer. Embryonic shoot, this is embryonic root, and these are the fleshy cotyledons. Okay, student, regarding some main points about monocot seed. So monocot seed, they are always endospermic, but some orchids, they have non-endospermic seed. So the common example of monocot seeds are the maize seed. So here the seed coat, it is membranous in nature, and it generally fuses with the fruit ball. And the endosperm here is bulky, and it stores the food. The outermost covering of the endosperm, it separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer. That means the outer covering of the endosperm, it separates the embryo, and there is a proteinaceous layer between them. And that layer is known as aileron layer. Then this embryo is very small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. The monocot embryo, it always consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledon, which is known as scutellum. And there is a short axis with a plumule and a radicle. You know that plumule and radicle, they are also enclosed inside sheaths. And the sheath of the plumule is known as coleoptile. And the sheath which covers the radicle, it is known as coleorhiza. So here the diagram of the monocot seed is visible to you. So this is the common maize seed, which is example of a monocot seed. So here the endosperm is visible to you. Two type of endosperm is there in maize seed, white color endosperm and yellow color endosperm. Then this is the embryo which is present inside, and it is separated from the endosperm by a membranous sheath that is known as aileron layer. Okay, see in this diagram, endosperm is there. Then a membranous sheath is there known as aileron layer. Then seed coat and fruit wall is there. Then the sheath which covers the plumule, it is coleoptile, and the sheath which covers the radicle, it is coleorhiza. And then we have a single cotyledon which is present at the lateral position. It is a large cotyledon. So this cotyledon of monocot seed is known as scutellum. Okay, student, there. Now we are starting with an entirely new topic which we have not studied in our previous classes, and that is semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. So morphological features are used to describe a flowering plants. So we generally describe a flowering plant on the basis of their morphological feature, that what kind of stem it has, root, leaves, what kind of leaves. All right. Description has to be brief. We should not give a very lengthy description. The description should be brief, and simple description should be there and in scientific language. And the third is vegetative character, root, stem, and leaves. They are described first. After this, the floral characters, which contains what kind of inflorescence is there, and the different parts of the flower, they are described in a semi-technical description. And then we have to write the floral formula and draw the floral diagram of that particular plant species. Okay, student? So here are some symbols that are used in this floral formula. So if we write capital V and small r, then that is for bracts. So these bracts are the minute leaf-like structures which are present on the pedicel, except these sepals. Sepals are also green color structures. All right. So capital K for calyx. Calyx is group of sepals. Capital C for corolla. Corolla is group of petals. Sometimes the sepals and petals, they cannot be easily identified. So there is a mixture of sepal and petals that is known as perianth. P for perianth. A for androecium, that is male reproductive organ. G for gynoecium, that is female reproductive organ. Then we have, if there is a bar that is maintained here at the base of the G, then this means the flower has superior ovary and the flower is hypogynous. And sometimes it is placed at the top of the G, then it is inferior ovary and the flower is perigynous. So here you can see the floral diagram of Brassica campestris, which is the common mustard plant, and in Hindi we called it as sarso plant. So here, how can we write the floral formula? EBR, that is ebracteate flower, no bracts are present. EBRL means the flower is ebracteolate, with ebracteole. Beside bracts, bracteate are also not present. Then we have hermaphrodite flower. That means bisexual flower, contains both sepal as well. Contains both these stamens and pistils. Then the symmetry here is shown. So this kind of symmetry. Sometimes we take a circle and put a sign of plus in it. All right, students, so such kind of symmetry is known as actinomorphic symmetry. And then we have calyx 2 plus 2. This means the sepals are arranged in the manner of 2 plus 2. Then we have calyx. How many calyx are there? 4 calyx are there. Then corolla, how many corollas are there? So 4 petals are there. Then androecium. So androecium 2 plus 4. That means 2 stamens. They are present in one ball, and then we have 4 stamens. Gynoecium. 2, that means ovary contains how many carpels? 2 carpels are there. It is a bicarpellary ovary. And all of these carpels, they are fused, and flower is hypogynous and ovary is superior. Okay, student, here we are going to start our first family. And that is family Fabaceae. So student, family Fabaceae was earlier known as the Papilionoidea family, and there is a subfamily inside this, which is family Leguminous. So here I am going to tell you the vegetative character, students. So here, what kind of stem are present? Stem is erect. Sometimes the stem it grows in a vertical fashion, erect kind of stem, and sometimes it is a climber. That is, it take the help of some other plant, and then it climbs. You know that in pea plant, tendrils are present, which helps in the climbing of the stem. The leaves are alternate leaves are there. That is, one leaf is present at the lower position, then the other leaf is present slightly above the other position. All right. So you know the term alternate very well. Pinnate compound leaves are there, and then leaves sometimes may be simple leaves. Then the leaf base pulvinate, and stipulate means small stipules are present over the you can say leaf top. And what kind of venation? Reticulate venation is there. You know that reticulate venation is the characteristic feature of dichotoma. Floral character, racemose type of inflorescence. You know that in racemose type of inflorescence, the growth of the main axis is not limited. The main axis continues to grow, and the flowers they are appears on the lateral branches in an acropetal succession. The flowers here are bisexual, that is both stamen and pistils are present inside the same flower. Zygomorphic symmetry is there. So zygomorphic symmetry means bilateral symmetry of the flower. How many sepals are there in a calyx? You know that calyx is group of sepals. How many sepals are there? 5 sepals are there. Gamosepalous condition means all the sepals they are fused together. Valvate estivation sometimes or imbricate estivation is present. So that I have explained you under the topic estivation. Then about corolla, the petals, how many petals? 5 petals are there. Polypetalous means all the 5 petals they are free. Papilionaceous corolla, that means maxillary estivation. So always maxillary estivation, the posterior petal is very large, it is known as dentate. Then we have 2 lateral petals which are known as wings, and 2 anterior petals which are known as keel, and these are attached with each other. The enclosing stamens and pistil inside. So such type of estivation is known as maxillary estivation. Okay, students. Now about the floral characters. So here androecium, that is the male reproductive organ. How many stamens are there? 10 stamens are there. Diadelphous condition. Diadelphous condition means 9 stamens they are clustered in a sheath-like covering, and 1 stamen it is present alone. That is 1 plus 9 arrangement. Diadelphous condition. Anther diathecus. How many lobes are present in anther? 2 lobes are present in anther. Then gynoecium. Here the ovary is a superior ovary. This means flower is hypogynous type of flower. Monocarpellary means the ovary develop from a single carpel. Unilocular, single locule or chamber is there, but so many ovules are present and style is single. Then fruit. What kind of fruit? Legume is the fruit. And how many seeds are present? So sometimes it may contain 1 seed or many seeds are there. And endospermics seeds are there. Okay, economic importance. So this type of plant are the main sources of pulses such as grams, arhar, same, moong, soya bean, and edible oil can also be extracted from these plants such as soya bean oil, groundnut oil. They are also the sources of dye such as indigo dye that you use for your white clothes. Fibers, sun hemp. Fiber is there, then fodder such as Caspania, trifolium. And ornamental flowers are also there. Lupin flower, sweet pea flower, they are used for ornamental purposes. And medicine they also comes under this. That is mulatthi, which is generally used by the people who have to sing in order to make their throat clean. Mulatti. So generally put mulatti in their throat. So see the floral diagram here. This is the flower of the pea plant, and this is the floral formula. Zygomorphic flower is there. Then hermaphrodite, bisexual flower, calyx. How many sepals are there? 5. Corolla, 1 plus 2 plus 2. So 1 here is tended and 2 here is lateral wings, and 2 is keels which are attached with each other. And gynoecium monocarpellary condition is there. So ovary is one ovary, and hypogynous flower is there, and ovary is superior. So here you can see the floral diagram. This is the mother axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sepals are there. Again, 5 petals are there. This bigger one is the standard, and these 2 are the lateral, and these 2 are the keel. The keels, they are already attached with each other. Okay, student. Next family is family Solanaceae. So here I am going to discuss vegetative character first. The root system is taproot system, and stems are generally erect or sometimes they are climber. The Solanaceae, it includes herbs, shrubs, and small trees. All of these comes under these climbers, may also be there. The leaves, alternate kind of leaves, simple leaf, and pinnately compound leaves. Okay, student, exstipulate means stipule is not present. And here leaves, we have reticulate venation. That means main vein, that is midrib, is present, and the lateral veins are also there. They form a net. Okay, floral characters, inflorescence, racemose type of inflorescence, terminal or axillary racemose type of inflorescence. Sometimes cymose inflorescence is also present. It is visible in case of the plant Solanum. Flower is complete bisexual flower, actinomorphic flower, and hypogynous flower. Calyx, how many calyx? 5 sepal. Gamosepalous condition is there. All the sepals, they are fused together, and valvate estivation is there. Then we have corolla. So 5 petals are there. Gamopetalous again condition. All the petals, they are fused, and valvate estivation is there. Then we have androecium. So 5 stamens. And epipetalous condition means all the stamens, they are fused with their petals. And anther basifixed, that is the fixing position of the anther is base. Gynoecium, syncarpous condition is there. Bicarpellary, how many carpels are there? 2 carpels are there. And this bicarpellary condition, it form a bilocular ovary. So 2 chambers are there in the ovary. All the carpels, they are fused, so that's why syncarpous condition. Then we have gynoecium, that I have explained you. Gynoecium, syncarpous, bicarpellary, bilocular, superior ovary is there, and exile placentation is there. Fruit is berry or capsule. Both type of fruits are present. The seeds are numerous, seeds are there, and all of these seeds are endospermous. That means endosperm is still present in the seed, and it provides nourishment to the embryo. Okay, student, economic importance. The economic importance of these plants are, they are the source of food. For example, tomato, brinjal, and potato. They are example of family Solanaceae. Sometimes they are the sources of spices. For example, all types of chilies. And the technical name of chili is Capsicum annum, Capsicum frutescens. The leaves of Nicotiana tobacco, that is the major source of tobacco plant. And they are also used for ornamental. For example, petunia flower is generally growing in your school campus as well as in houses in different colors. Then plants such as belladonna and ashwagandha, these are the plants that are used for medicinal purposes. Okay, students, see the floral diagram and floral formula. So floral formula, bisexual flower is present. Then calyx means sepal are 5, all are fused, gamosepalous condition. Corolla, any petals, they are also 5, they all are fused. Then androecium are also 5, but these stamens, they are attached with the corolla or you can say petals. Gynoecium, bicarpellary ovary is there, and this ovary superior ovary. And this superior ovary, it is actually present in the hypogynous flower. See the floral diagram. How many sepals are there? 5. Then 5 petals are also there. Then androecium, they are fused with the petals, the apipetalous condition. And ovary is bilocular ovary. Okay, but we come on the last family, that is family Liliaceae. So family Liliaceae is the only monocot family in this semi-technical description. So here we have first vegetative characters. The roots are generally fibrous root system because it is a monocot family. And stem is erect here. The stem grows straight. And Liliaceae family, it includes perennial herbs. That is the herbs, they generally grow for several years. And these propagate through bulbs or rhizomes, which are the modified stems. Leaves, they are present generally at alternate position. They are simple leaf. No stipule is present, that means axistipulate. And parallel venation is there, which is the characteristic feature of the leaf of monocot. Okay, student, floral characters. So here we have inflorescence, cymose type of inflorescence. And solitary inflorescence is there. And a special type of cymose inflorescence, which is known as umbellate clusters. Then flowers, we have complete flower, bisexual flower, actinomorphic flower. That means flower having radial symmetry, hypogynous flower, ovary superior. Perianth is present instead of sepal and petals. So there is a mixture of both sepal and petal present here, which is known as perianth. And this perianth, indistinctive sepal and petals are there. So 6 petals, often united sepals. So 3 plus 3, arrangement of sepals and petals. And this is known as tepals. T-E-P-A-L, tepals. And aestivation is valvate aestivation. Androecium, how many stamens are there? 6 stamens are there, and they are arranged in 2 whorls. The pattern of 3 plus 3. Gynoecium, same carpus condition is there. That is all the carpels, they are fused together. Tricarpellary, ovary is there. This means how many carpels are there? 3 carpels are there. And trilocular means how many locules are there? 3 locules are there. Ovary is superior and having the axile placentation. Fruit is berry and sometimes capsule type of fruit is also present, and seeds are generally endosperm. Endospermic, that means endosperm is not totally consumed by the embryo. Okay, student, economic importance of the family Liliaceae. The source of medicine, so many plants which are the source of medicine, they come under family Liliaceae. For example, aloe vera, smilax, and colchicine. Okay, student, colchicine, from colchicine plant we obtain. Colchicine is a kind of a, you can say, dye. It is obtained from a plant Colchicum autumnale. It is used for the karyotyping of chromosomes. Ornamental plants, we have lily flower, tulip flower, gloriosa, then ruscus. Then most of the plants, they are also the source of food and vegetable, for example, asparagus. And bulbs of the Allium cepa. And roots of the various species of smilax. They are used for flavoring agents. That means they enhance the flavor in the cooked food. Okay, students, see here the diagram of the family Liliaceae. This is the flower of the plant. And here, bisexual condition is there. Perianth is present instead of sepal and petal. So these floral appendages in the form of perianth, they are arranged in 2 whorls, 3 plus 3. Androecium, how many stamens are there? 3 stamens are there, but they are attached with the perianth or the tepals. Then gynoecium is also superior ovary, and trilocular ovary and tricarpellary. So see the floral diagram also. So this is the floral diagram. Okay, students. So that this video lecture, which is my second video lecture, it contains the whole description, whole explanation about flower, its major components, and the semi-technical description that how can you describe a flower. I'm quite hopeful that the whole concept is clear to you. So thank you, students, and have a nice